What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend. And as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. We have officially made it through January. I don't know what it is about January. It always just feels endless. Like there's no end in sight ever in the month of January. And there's always like those memes where it's like, it's January 74th. And like this year felt even stronger than that. And I mean, like, yeah, the world is falling apart and like, there's just like a lot of shit going on. So I'm sure like that doesn't help, but like there's shit going on and the world falls apart the rest of the year. Why is January so treacherous and so endless? And why does it feel like we're like dragging our feet through the mud every single January? Is it just me? I feel like it's like a general consensus we can all agree on, but it's like, why is that? Because then once February comes, like now that we're in the second month of the year's gonna fly by. Like before you know it, we're going to be celebrating Memorial Day, and then it'll be 4th of July, and then it'll be Thanksgiving, and then it'll be 2027. Like hold on to your seats because the rest of the year is going to fly by. And it happens every year like clockwork. I don't understand. It's wild. I do not understand the passage of time. However, welcome to February. Happy Black History Month. I would wish you guys a happy Groundhog's Day, but that little fucking rat saw his shadow, which means we are going to get 6 more weeks of winter. And like, I don't know how much longer I can deal with this snow outside in New York City. If you're in New York, if you're visiting or whatever, if you've seen on TikTok, and I see it everywhere now, I don't know how or like what they were doing when they shoveled, but they have shoveled the tiniest little pathways down the sidewalks for us to get through. And like, that's fine. I can walk through a tiny path, but like it is now a one-way street on the sidewalks. And you literally have to like fight to get through the sidewalks because there is a little tiny foot passage for you to get through because they decided they didn't want to shovel the whole sidewalk. And like, I get it. It's cold, it's icy, whatever. Isn't that somebody's job? Am I wrong for thinking like somebody should have shoveled at least a 2-way street, at least give it a little more room so 2 people can walk by? I can't even walk by like next to somebody on the sidewalk anymore unless I want to walk through the snow. And like, it's not even snow anymore. It's ice. It is not going anywhere. And it is just like, what is going on? What are we doing on these New York City sidewalks right now? It's a lot going on. And like I said, that little fucking rat, the groundhog, Pentasucky Phil, whatever his name is, saw his shadow. So now we have 6 more weeks of winter. You know what? It is what it is. You can't control the weather. You can't control what the groundhog sees. And like I said, we're going to be in Memorial Day before we know it anyway. So why are we bitching and moaning? We have a very exciting episode this week. It is one of my favorite episodes that I record for you guys every single year. Being a pop culture podcast, there's things that just happen annually. The Grammys, the Oscars, the Met Gala, the VMAs. There are certain award shows and moments in culture that come up every single year. And this is one of my top 5 favorite episodes. Actually, I've never like put this to paper, but I would say like every year I look forward to Grammys, Met Gala, VMAs, my end of year pop culture wrap. But I would say at least those 4 are like ones that I look forward to every single year. The Grammys, the VMAs, Met Gala, and my end of year pop culture roundup are just episodes that like I know they're going to happen every year. They're always so exciting. This is my 3rd Grammys recap with you guys. So I feel like we're like getting seasoned. I like was writing my outline and I was like, oh yeah, this is the way that I did it last year. I have it like down to a science now. So it's feeling, it's like we got the groove of these Grammy recaps and just like these annual things that come up. So I'm very excited to chat with you guys all things Grammys. But you guys know the drill. We have a few things to chat about before we get to that. So let's hop into the show and kick things off with our Drew releases, our new music releases from last week, and our new releases coming up this week. Now, I didn't have anything on my radar last week, and even at work, we were chatting about like what is coming out last Friday, and there wasn't really anything that major coming out that was on my radar, so no new releases from last week to chat about. However, we do have a very exciting release coming up this week. We have Nick Jonas's new solo album, Sunday Best, coming out on Friday, which I am very excited for. You guys know I have a very soft spot in my heart for the Jonas Brothers. Apparently, this album is all about his journey on Broadway in the last 5 years that he was just in last year in 2025. Because, people weren't the nicest to him about the show. And it wasn't just about him. I feel like the whole production had some flaws from what I read. But apparently this is just like about his experience on Broadway this time around and how I guess people were mean to him, which like the idea of hearing a straight white man sing about being bullied is like not my favorite genre, but like I did like Gut Punch. So like that counts for something. So I will be tuning in. Will it be an album that I'm going to be revisiting? I can already tell you no, but I will tune in. I will give Nick, a few streams here and there and see what he is. see what he's complaining about and see what the bullying is all about, because I'm tapped in. I love some drama. So let's see what his Sunday best is all about. But that is the only release, that I have on my radar for this upcoming week. So a very quick Drew releases segment, which means we have more time to chat about pop culture nonsense. But before we get into our moments from the week that were just too pop to handle, I'd always like to take this time to remind you guys that if any point during this episode you are loving what you were hearing, make sure you go ahead and leave me a 5-star rating wherever you are listening. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe, drop a thumbs up, hit all the buttons except unsubscribe. Give me a 5-star rating. Tell me what you're thinking. It is seriously the best way to help support the show, and it would mean the world to me. However, I do need to give you a show to find out whether you love it or not. So let's hop into some pop culture rapid fire, our moments from the week that were just too pop to handle. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I do have to start this segment on a negative note, and it breaks my heart to report, but Catherine O'Hara has passed away at the age of 71. And it's not often that a celebrity death actually makes me feel sad. Like, obviously, whenever I hear news about somebody passing, it's going to be upsetting, but it doesn't always make you feel sad. Like, at the end of the day, these are people that we know through a screen, that we know through their music. Like, we don't know these people personally. However, Catherine O'Hara passing away did break my heart. Like, this is somebody that, it wasn't like she was sick. Not that it makes it easier, but it wasn't like we were expecting this. It wasn't like we were like, oh my God, she's not doing well. She seemed to be doing fine. She just did that Michelob Ultra commercial last year. She did the Home Alone revamp commercials in 2024. She was at the Emmys with the Schitt's Creek cast 2 years ago. She was out and about. She was working. She was lively to what we know. And this news just truly came out of nowhere. And I mean, Schitt's Creek is my favorite show of all time. And that cast and that show and just the story of it is so truly perfect. And just knowing that one of the Roses is now passed away, and obviously it's not just about the show, but just the essence of who Moira Rose and Catherine O'Hara was. It was so, they were just such a special, she had something so special, and truly was one of the greatest actresses of all time. And I mean, Home Alone, Schitt's Creek, Beetlejuice, these don't even scratch the surface of her filmography. Those are just the big ones that everybody thinks of when they think of her. But this news really was just so incredibly heartbreaking. There's been no cause of death reported yet, which I mean doesn't make the story any more interesting or hurt any less. But to approach it from a journalistic standpoint, there's been no cause of death reported yet. However, it was reported that she was suffering from a brief illness in the last few months that I guess she was handling quietly, and then she had trouble breathing on Friday morning, which then led her to going to the hospital where she then passed. Again, I don't know many details. I honestly don't need to know many details because at the end of the day, the details of this aren't going to make it any more interesting or, whatever. This is just a heartbreaking story all around. And as much as I hate bringing sad news to the podcast, you guys know the drill. I like to start the show with the sad news so we can get on to the happy shit as we go. But as somebody who just loves Catherine O'Hara, loves Schitt's Creek, and, it is such a huge part of, I feel just the culture that I love, I could not come on here and not chat about this because this is a huge loss, and it just broke my heart. And every post I'm seeing, I saw Dan Levy post, Macaulay Culkin, everybody just posting their tributes to her and just talking about how wonderful she was to work with and her laugh and how funny she was. She lit up a room. This is heartbreaking. This is devastating. And yeah, just very sad to report any news like this, but especially when it's someone who's in a show that you truly love so much, it hits a little bit harder, it really it just sticks in a little bit more and twists it for you. So may she rest in peace, and thank God we can rewatch her as Moira Rose for the end of time and continue to watch it and let her legacy live on. But enough of the sad stuff. Let's kick the show into high gear and get into some more pop culture nonsense. I saw the moment over the weekend, Charli XCX's new mockumentary, and I have so much to say about this movie. So we talked about it last week, how she premiered it at Sundance and how she was saying it's the end of the Brat era and she's ready to move on from it, even though in the movie she doesn't want to let go of it. It's kind of this alternate reality. So in the movie, it's basically a mockumentary of what if Charli didn't go the route that she did with Brat? What if she let the labels and management take control of the, of the success and let it be their own thing and spin it into what they want, and she didn't trust her gut and do that non-traditional album rollout and really just run with it, which we've seen happen to Charli in the past, and I'm sure it happens to tons of artists behind the scenes that we don't know about. Contractually they can't talk about it, I'm sure, but what we saw in this movie, I'm sure happens a lot in the real world. And like I said, like her label didn't let her release her album before Crash, which was XCX World. And they were like, no, this isn't going to perform well. You know, we need more radio friendly. Didn't release it, ended up getting leaked all over the internet. And it was very similar sounds to Brat. So then we saw the Brat success and it was like, well, when you let an artist do what they want, you know, let the artist trust their gut and do what they know is going to do well. Look at what happened. You have the success that was Brat. And this is basically, what if Charli didn't trust her gut and let the label come in and completely just like rip Brat apart and do all the commercial stuff. And basically the premise of the film is she's filming a Brat tour movie, like a tour documentary, which I feel like is like a very commercial success kind of thing to do. It's like, oh, let's film this and release a movie to just kind of like make the tour and make the era go a little bit longer. And the label comes in and, you know, they have this director who's played by Alexander Skarsgård, and he's just like big time, you know, he's done all the big movies. And he's like, what if we gave everybody light up bracelets and we want Charli to like fly around the arena, and he's like choreographing her things and stuff like that. It's just very not Charli, very anti-Brat. And just through, you know, the pressures of society and the news cycle and being a pop star, she ends up like caving to what the label wants. And it obviously ends up being a disaster. But like, though it is satire, like I said, like this is probably a very realistic situation for a lot of pop stars. And even she said in like the first few interviews she did about it, like, she was like, this is like one of the realest depictions of what it's like to be in the music industry. And there's so many other artists, I feel like, making statements or coming out and being like, no, this is literally what it's like. Like, they don't want to listen to you. They want you to, you know, copy and paste and cookie cutter everybody else and just do the things that they think will sell well for you and like take an easy route. You know, like it really is about the way that like Brat was such a risk for Charli to take. But look at what happens when you do listen to your gut and you do trust your instinct, and you know what your fans want, you know what your true artistry is, and you follow that, you know, that path. But I thought the movie was great, honestly. Like, it's obviously not a movie that's supposed to be, you know, like Harry Styles said, this is a movie that feels like a movie. Like, this isn't supposed to be like a life-changing Oscar-worthy movie. Like, this is very much a fun, silly kind of commentary on what's wrong with the music industry, but through the lens of a real situation. Like, she's performing Sympathy Is a Knife, and she's performing 365. You know, Brat exists in this world, but there are some, you know, there's some name changes and things like that. And it's kind of like, what if it went an alternate route? I really thought the cast was perfect. Like, it was such like a Brat coded group of people. I think they did a really great job at casting these people. And what I thought was even more interesting is the fact that some of the people played themselves, and then some people played other characters. And now in the beginning of the movie, they do say that names in the film have been changed for legal reasons. So I don't know if any, like, what of this is true. We don't know. And like, we don't know what actually did happen, because obviously, like I said, it's a mockumentary and it's not based on true events, but like, there are definitely people in this movie who are playing characters, and I'm sure they are the execs at her record label, or, you know, these people who tried to come in and like completely change the Brat tour and whatever it was and tried to like give her these stupid brand deals. Like, there's another plot in the movie where she gets a brand deal to do a Brat card, and it's this credit card where you sign up and you get free tickets, and there are all these terms and conditions, but nobody reads them. They're just like, oh, it's like a brand deal. She's getting a big check for it. Like, let's just do it. And then it like goes awry, and, you know, I won't spoil it for you there, but, you know, it's just like all these things that like, if she went this commercial route with it, like what would happen and how different the era would have looked. But like I said, the cast was great. Alexander Skarsgård, like I said, he played this like crazy cocky director, and like he played it so well that it almost made me hate him. Like, I was like, obviously I know that this is him playing a character, but he did such a good job at playing this asshole director of like this movie. You can tell just thinks he's like this hot shot or whatever. Like, I was like, oh my God, I hate this man. But then I was like, no, he is not playing himself. Like, I did have a hard time being like, that is not Alexander Skarsgård playing himself, even though that is Charli XCX and Rachel Sennett and Kylie Jenner playing themselves. Like, I had to remind myself who was really playing them and who was not playing themselves, if that makes sense. Haley Gates plays her creative director. Celeste was her name. She killed it. She was so good. And she's like the voice of reason in the movie, where she's like, Charli, they want us to do Brat as like this big pop show. And like, you know, they want light up bracelets and this and that and all these like tacky commercial, whatever kind of things. And she's supposed to be like this voice of reason for Charli. And it's interesting in the movie, you see Charli on Celeste's side for so long. She rides for Celeste for so many parts of the movie. And then like as the movie goes on, you see the label getting in her head and like pushing Celeste away. And it's this like switch of the guards almost, where like Celeste is creative directing this rave club kind of show that was the Brat tour that we all saw back in that was last year, 2025. It's the show that she put on. But then, you know, this other guy comes in and starts like directing and giving ideas and things like that. And they basically turn Brat into a family film is what his goal is, which obviously is not the goal of the movie. And there's so many just like funny pop culture references to like just like Charli and Brad and, you know, all these fun little things. Like there's a Las Culturistas in it where like Matt and Bowen do an I Don't Think So Honey about the Brat card. Like they're just very fun niche pop culture references throughout the movie. And the people they cast in this movie did it so well. Like I said, Rachel Sennett plays herself and she is just, it's an exaggerated version of herself, but she's so good at playing that like LA girl, that, you know, cool girl scene kind of thing. And in the movie, I'm sure this plot line is a little, you know, dramatic, but they're like, oh, I haven't seen you since we did the 365 video or 360 video, excuse me. And, you know, your agent was really rough and made me retouch every single scene that you're in, which I'm sure didn't actually happen. But like, it's just funny to think that like this is something that definitely happens in the LA scene. And I'm sure there's been plenty of music videos where you're like, oh, don't use that angle, don't use this. You know, it just felt like a very real moment that could have happened, or maybe it did happen with somebody, and maybe I don't know, but just funny to see like these people playing themselves in the movie, and like they're obviously dramatized versions of themselves, but it was just fun to see the way that they played with it. And I have to tell you guys, Kylie Jenner kind of stole the show for me. She's only in it for one scene, but the scene that she is in it was so funny. Again, she plays this more like, it's almost like a caricature of herself. And she's, you know, playing into the Kardashian of it all. And she comes out, they're like in a spa, and she comes out and she like has her robe open and her boobs are sitting like perfectly from the robe. And she just looks like perfect and flawless. And she's all done up. And Charli just had like a mental breakdown in the spa. And she, you know, she doesn't have makeup on. Her hair's a mess. And they're running into each other chatting. And Kylie's like, you look great. Like, you look amazing. And I heard you're doing that movie. That director quit my project so we can work on yours. But I'm not mad at you or anything. Like, it's just... It just really depicts what it must be like being in the industry of like music and film, and, you know, the pettiness and the little side comments and snide remarks that people make. It really captured what I imagine a lot of people treat the music and film industry like. I thought they did an incredible job. It was fun. It was silly. It was stupid. I really enjoyed it. Something that I did think was interesting, because this movie does exist in a real world. Like, she shows the Brat wall, she shows when she did like the DJ set upstate, and like she shows real things that have happened. There's no mention of Troy in the movie anywhere, which, whether it was Troy as an actual character or just like a male gay counterpart, like there's no mention of the collabs and the tour together. And like Troy played a very big part in the Brat era, like in the beginning of it, because they went on tour together for the Sweat Tour, and like he was on the remix album and like all these things. And I just feel like it was kind of weird to me that Troy wasn't mentioned at all in the movie. And like, maybe it was a plot line that they didn't need, but I feel like it could have added this level of like, oh, she's leaving her friend behind, again, as a dramatic mockumentary version of it. But like, I feel like it would have been a fun plot line to add in of like, oh, Charli's changing and she's now not going on tour with Troy anymore. She's doing it with just herself because this album is so big. Because by the time the Sweat Tour rolled around, Brat was massive. Like, everybody would have went if it was, and you guys know I love Troy, but like, she didn't need Troy on the tour to sell the tour. You know, like it could have sold, when the tour got announced, Brat wasn't out yet. And it was like big because the two of them were touring together. But then Brat came out and Brat became Brat. And it was like, oh, this is now a bigger show for Charli. Like, I hate, you know, it's just fact of the matter. I thought it was interesting that they didn't focus on that at all. However, something they did focus on, and now if you thought the discourse about Charli XCX and Taylor Swift was bad before, wait until the moment is available nationwide, because the discourse is about to get insane. Now, you guys know where I stand on the whole Charli and Taylor thing. I see both sides. I understand. It is what it is, whatever. Without spoiling anything, the entire last scene of the movie is Charli cosplaying as the Eras Tour and the Rep Tour. Like, it is... There's no denying what she's referencing in these scenes. Like, there's just certain certain stage design and choreography and movement, and there's an outfit that they reference. Like, it is very clearly not a dig at Taylor, because I do think that Charli understands Taylor's success and like I don't think Charli thinks Taylor is that commercial sellout. Like, I think she knows better than that, but I just think like she went the route of like, oh, like, who's the most, when you think of a pop star, who do you think of? It's Taylor Swift. And she took that and kind of ran with it. So on one hand, it is actually romantic that Charli does think so highly of Taylor. But then on the other hand, like, she is saying she's the butt of the joke in that. And like, you know, I'm going to stay neutral on it because I see where every party could be wrong and understand. But like, Charli definitely goes for it in this movie. The discourse is going to be fucking crazy. Like, we thought that actually romantic, like, we thought that the fucking severed hand that Charli did with the friendship bracelet was bad. That discourse. We thought the actually romantic discourse was bad. I'm genuinely so worried for the way the internet is going to react to the moment when it comes out nationwide on Friday, I think it is. Yeah, the 6th. It'll be available nationwide. Right now, it's only available to watch in New York City and LA, but this week it does go nationwide. I'm very curious how people are going to react, and I'm honestly shocked that people aren't talking about it more yet, because it's been out for like it's been out for like 4 days, but like, I'm shocked I'm not seeing more people talk about the way that she just takes a full swing at Taylor in this. And again, I don't think it's in a sense of like making fun of her. I think she just like feeds into that idea of like, it is actually romantic. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah, I do think about you. And like, here's how I think about you as like a commercial cookie cutter pop star, which is neither here nor there. Like, obviously, I love Taylor. I love Charli. I do feel like a child of divorced lesbian parents in this situation. But just buckle up. Just you wait, because I think it's going to be dirty. Like, I think it's going to get nasty, and I'm very curious to see how this all unfolds. But I did really enjoy the movie. I thought it was fun. Again, don't go into it expecting like your life to change and to be this like dissertation on the music industry. Charli does have a really beautiful monologue at the end of it where she's sending a voice note to Celeste, her previous creative director. And that moment was just like a really wholesome moment. And it was something that I feel like anybody can relate to. She talks about how like, you know, I know it's cliche and it's not cool to be the last person at the party, but like, I don't always want to go home. Like, sometimes I do just want to stay out, because when you do go home, you know, you're alone with your thoughts and you're stuck with yourself and you're faced with being you. So like, you don't always want to leave the party, but like, how do you know when the party's over? Which is a theme that Charli puts into her albums time and time again. You know, it is something that she struggles with and something that she talks about very openly. So seeing that side of her talking about it in the context that she's talking about it was just a really beautiful monologue. And it was probably my favorite part of the movie. But all around, I really enjoyed it. Thought it was really fun. If it's playing anywhere near you, definitely go see it. I think it's a fun poke at what is happening in the music industry. And it really gives you an idea of like what could have happened to Charli XCX and Brat had she not followed her gut. And it was scary. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it would have been a fucking whole different era if she went that route. And it was definitely, again, over the top and dramatic and whatever, but like, it's not far off from what we're seeing on stage for some of these pop stars. Like, it was, you know, it's we definitely see some resemblances to some other pop stars in this movie, but I'll let you guys see it and let you guys be the judge of that. And on the topic of movies, we got a new movie trailer this week that I have just been bursting at the seams waiting for. The Devil Wears Prada 2 trailer is here, and it appears that woke culture has gotten to Miranda Priestly, which we'll get to in just a second, but the trailer premiered last night during the Grammys. I saw it come on the screen while I was working last night. I was covering the show for CBS, which we'll get to in a second, but I was so like in it and posting and just like literally nonstop on my phone, just like getting content up on TikTok from the show that I saw it come on. I registered it and I was like, I do not have the mental capacity to actually consume this right now. So I like put my blinders on and just kept working and posting away. So today when I had time, I went and I watched it. I actually recorded my reaction to it. So that's up on my TikTok now if you want to go watch that. But let's discuss. So we've talked about this movie at length and, you know, when it got announced and the plot and things like that. If you don't know, essentially Runway, the magazine that Miranda Priestly works at, it, you know, fake Vogue, if you want to call it what it is struggling to stay afloat in the digital world. You know, it's a print magazine and it's having a hard time kind of navigating the digital space. So somehow Anne Hathaway comes back into the picture, and she is now the feature editor at Runway. And they are now reaching out to Emily, who is like the head of a digital marketing firm, to kind of work together and see how they can bring Runway back to what it once was. We don't know much of how it all comes together, but now from the trailer, we now know that Andy Sachs is officially the feature editor at Runway, and they are now going to Emily to try to get some help. And now, while I'm watching this trailer, there's a few things that stand out to me. Number one, it appears that Andy has a new man. It appears that Nate is out of the photo. And now, if you remember at the end of the first movie, he's moving to Boston to go work as either a private chef or a sous chef. I forget. So he's leaving New York and going to Boston. But I wasn't sure if they were going to like bring him back for the second movie, and there was going to be, you know, they ended up making it work. They went long distance. Andy went with him. Like, I didn't know how they were going to navigate it. But in this trailer, we see Anne Hathaway, Andy Sachs, twirling in the street with some man. So it's safe to assume that it is a new love interest, which I'm very interested to see like how Andy Sachs has matured over the years and like what has changed, because there's definitely a lot that has changed since the first movie. I mean, it's been 20 years. I would hope so. Also in the movie, the second thing that stands out, there's this like idea that Miranda Priestly has no idea who Andy or Emily is. When Andy walks back into the office, it's, you know, she sees Miranda and, oh my God, why am I blanking on his name? On Stanley Tucci's character. His name is escaping me. It'll come to me eventually, but she walks in and it's Miranda and Stanley Tucci, Nigel. She walks in and it's Miranda and Nigel, and she is like, hi. And Miranda has like no idea who she is and is like playing as if she doesn't remember who she is. And Nigel said she was one of the Emilys and she like has no recollection of it. So I have a few theories for this, because we also see it later when she sees Emily for the first time. Andy's like, hi, Emily. And she's like, how do you guys know each other? And she acts as if she has no idea who these people are. So I have a few theories. Number one, I feel like they're just like a bit that she's playing. I feel like I said, Miranda Priestly appears to be woke now. And I feel like maybe cancel culture caught up to her. You know, I mean, it's been 20 years and things are definitely different than they were back in 2006 and what is allowed in office culture and how you can speak to your employees. And we know that Miranda made their lives living hell while they were at Runway. And I feel like it's just like a bit that she's doing and like, you know, playing into, and it's just like, you just let Miranda do what she wants because she's Miranda Priestly. Like at the end of the day, you know. Number two, I am like, maybe she actually is a heartless person and like genuinely is so far up her own ass that like she knows her assistants aren't going to last, because like deep down we know Miranda knows she's not a great person. We see that like mental breakdown she has when she knows that she's getting a divorce in Paris, and she knows like she's a problem and whatever, and she's very concerned about her public image. So like I wonder if like maybe there is this like side of her where like she's like, I don't remember my assistants because they all come and go so quick, which I feel like is less likely. You know, they're coming into this positively, so it seems. Like I don't think Andy Sachs would go back to Runway if Miranda was acting like she had no idea who she was, because obviously she remembers who she is. She's the girl who left her in Paris, then she wrote like a glowing review for her next job. So I don't think that's the case, but I'm just like, maybe there's a world where like Miranda really is a rotted bitch that like just fully forgets the people who work for her. And then a third, much more gory and like hopefully not the case, is like, did she have a crazy brain something happen and like she lost her memory or something? Which I feel like that if they go that route, I don't think they will. I do think they're going to go with like the bit where like Miranda's trying to like erase her past and like not, you know, like not remember how evil she was to these women back in like the early 2000s. But if they do go the route of like she had like a traumatic brain thing happen to her, I'm like, now it's like takes us out of the movie because it feels less realistic. Because like in what world does somebody have memory loss and then goes back to being the editor-in-chief of a major magazine, you know? So those are my theories for the Miranda Priestly of it all. And I'm also very curious like what we're going to learn about the twins, you know, her twin daughters, and she had the divorce at the end of the movie. Like I want to know what's been going on with Miranda Priestly in these last 20 years, which I'm sure we'll learn about because obviously she is the main character of the movie between her and Andy. Like the two of them, you know, go back and forth. But like, I really am curious to see how they navigate bringing us up to speed over the last 20 years from the first movie, and like what we learn about like what was Andy doing while she wasn't at Runway? What did she go on to do? How did Emily leave Runway? That's something I'm really interested in. Like, what was the straw that broke the camel's back that made Emily leave a Runway? Because she was like ready to die in that office. You know, she loved working at Runway. She loved working for Miranda. She would kiss the ground she walked on. what was the straw that broke the camel's back that made Emily leave Runway? And now why is Nigel still at Runway? Because he was trying to get a promotion, and like, has Miranda been screwing him over for years? Like, does he love the toxicity of it? Like, what's that whole deal? There's a lot of questions that I have for this movie, but I do feel confident that they will all be answered, because I feel like they know that this is such a beloved movie that they really do have to treat these characters well and like give us all the answers that we need for this movie to fully make sense, because there are a lot of loopholes that can come about in this movie. But I'm very excited. I think it's going to be great. I can't wait. I mean, we're, in a world in which like sequel culture and like remake culture is so frowned upon. There's nothing that's going to make me dislike this movie. Like, maybe it will be bad. Maybe the plot will be bad, but just the idea of like having these characters back on screen and like bringing their story to life, like that's so exciting to me. And like seeing this new era of Runway, I cannot wait. I'm sure Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep are not going to be in a movie that has a bad plot, no matter how nostalgic it is. Like, Anne Hathaway is booked and busy. Meryl Streep is Meryl Streep. Emily Blunt is Emily Blunt. Like, they don't need this movie. They did similar with like Freakier Friday. Like, they didn't need to do that movie. They weren't going to sign on to it unless the script was perfect. Like, I feel similarly to Freakier Friday as I do with this one, where like the cast loves the movie so much that they're going to make sure it is a good movie, a good plot, and like, when you put those three women and Stanley Tucci in a movie, like, they're some of the greats. Like, they're going to kill it, and I cannot wait. The movie comes out May 1st. So we have just a few more months. We have 3 months from yesterday until the movie comes out. So it is coming. It is less than 100 days away. I cannot wait, and we will keep chatting all things Devil Wears Prada 2 as it gets closer. And now the final moment of the week. There were just two pop to handle before we hop into our Grammys recap. Connor Storrie is making his SNL debut on February 28th. He is going to be the host, with the musical guest being Mumford & Sons. And now, not only is this a true testament of how smart and how fast the SNL bookers work, but this is also a testament of like, we're in a different era of celebrity. I mean, SNL is always on the pulse of culture. Like, they're always getting people who are buzzy, people releasing music, people who are having a big moment, actors, singers, whoever it is. They always have like hot talent coming into SNL. But the fact that Connor Storrie was in a 6-episode Canadian gay hockey show, and like less than a year ago, he was waiting tables and like was a no-name actor. Like, he was in Harley Quinn, and he had a few roles here and there, but like, he was not Connor Storrie. Connor Storrie, who he is today, is not who Connor Storrie was even 6 months ago. The fact that he's already going to be hosting SNL feels so crazy to me, and not in a negative way, but it's just like, I feel like SNL is a coveted thing in anybody's career, whether you're hosting, the musical guest, doing both, whatever it is. Just being able to be a part of SNL is it's like a bucket list thing for anybody in the industry, and like, it's a dream that people get to do. And the fact that he is doing it so quickly after rising to fame, like I keep saying, we are watching this phenomenon of heated rivalry really just it is crazy. Like, we're seeing this overnight success in a way that we have not seen really ever. Like, this truly is overnight success from this show coming out. And like I said, they've been in shows, they've been in movies here and there, but like, this is like, we have not seen stardom like this in a very long time. We're really seeing a whole new era of celebrity. It's really crazy. And like, I have no doubt that he'll be fun on the show. Like, I feel like Connor is very, from what we see in interviews and what we see him as Ilya, like, as Ilya, he's this like tough guy. And I mean, the accent alone, like, he's clearly an incredibly talented actor, but he is nothing like Ilya in real life from what we see from his interviews. And like, he is able to just kind of like turn it on, turn it off. So I'm really curious to see like how they play into that and like what kind of roles they make him play. Because like I said, he's not like Ilya in real life. Like, he's very like soft boy and very like, silly and cute and fun or whatever. And like, he's not that character, but he plays that character so well that it just speaks to how good he is at his job. So I'm really curious, like, what kind of sketches they're going to see him in. I wonder if we're going to get like a Hudson Williams cameo at any point. Like, I feel like it would be really smart for them to have a Hudson come on and like make a quick appearance or something. Or I don't know how, but like, just having something related to Hudson. I'm sure they'll mention him, if not have him on set when he does it. But I'm very curious to see like what kind of sketches they do and like how he is in, this isn't just like filming a show and like a character. He's playing 8 to 10 characters in one night. It's a big role. His monologue, he's got a lot of a lot of chops to live up to in this, and I am very excited to see how it goes. But I am always asking the really hard-hitting questions here at Too Pop to Handle. We really focus on real journalism, and what I want to know is, are they allowed to show butts on SNL? Like, are we going to get a little heated rivalry butt moment like we had in episode 1 of Heated Rivalry? We will have to wait and see, because I feel like, we're calling him America's ass. You might as well take your SNL debut as a moment to give us a little, get a little cheeky on the show. So we will have to wait and see what Connor Storrie has up his sleeve, or lack thereof, sleeves and clothing, whatever, how far they want to push it for Connor Storrie on SNL. But nonetheless, I will be sat, I will be seated. I am very excited to see him make his SNL debut. And it's just in a few weeks. We have February is going to fly by. Like I said at the top of the show, it's only 28 days and then the year is going to be over. So it'll be here before we know it. I am very excited. We will do a whole recap of Connor's episode, because it's going to be Too Pop to Handle. And I cannot wait to see how he does on this show. I'm sure he'll be fabulous. And with all of that being said, it is time for our 2026 Grammys recap. Now, I did this last year, so we're going to do it the same way this year. We're going to break it down into moments, then performances, and then our winners, and just kind of run it through like that. Overall, I thought it was a really great year for the Grammys, honestly. We had what I like to call a Katie Heron award show, which is when everybody gets a little slice of the cake. There's a little bit of everything to go around. Not a sweep like you saw in 2020 when Billie Eilish won every single award. There was a little bit of everything to go around this year, which is how I like to consume my award shows. I don't like a sweep. I don't like when one person wins everything. I think it's boring. It's like, how can one person be the artist of the year, the album of the year, the song of the year, the record of the year, the best pop, the best, there needs to be some, diversity there. And I don't prefer a sweep. I like a Katie Heron year, I like to call it. So I was very pleased with this. And we've had this for the last few years. I feel like we really haven't had a sweep in a couple of years. I feel like 2020 with Billie, 2020, 2021, I forget what year it was, but whenever she had that one year where she won every big 4 category, she was Best New Artist, she was Album of the Year, Record of the Year, Song of the Year. And it was like, yeah, the album was great, but can we make this a little more fun? It was like, how many speeches can one person give? It was just like, all right, the Billie Eilish show at this point. But we did get and that's no dig to Billie, by the way. I love Billie. I'm very happy that she won. We'll chat about it in a little bit. But, I like when everybody gets up on stage. I like to see a little diversity. And I thought it was a good year. I thought it was an enjoyable show. I thought the performances were fun. We'll get into those in just a little bit. Trevor Noah, you guys know how I feel about a man hosting anything, and just men in that kind of situation in general. For what it's worth, I thought he did a good job. It's his last year hosting the Grammys, so I feel like he really just went for it. I remember last year I was saying, I appreciated that he was very vocal about what's going on with our government, and this year was even louder. And even all the winners and people on the carpet, they were very loud about what was happening in our country, which is what we need. I mean, that is the biggest stage of, not ever, but it's one of the biggest stages you can be on. And especially when you win and you're up on stage and everybody's watching you, that is your speech that's going to live on in history. So watching people like Billie Eilish, Olivia Dean, a Bad Bunny, watching these people use this platform for good, it makes you feel good, about just watching things like this, because the country is going to shit. But it's nice to see when people with big voices and people on big platforms are able to remember that hey, yeah, this is great. We can all get dressed up and win these awards. But at the end of the day, people are getting ripped out of their homes. And there is a really huge problem happening in our country. So I was happy to see that Trevor kept bringing it up and he wouldn't take his foot off of Trump's neck. I was happy to see even Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber, they were wearing ice out pins, which I feel like Justin Bieber stays pretty neutral, as is Hailey. And I mean, Justin Bieber is Canadian. You could argue that, but he lives in America. He can say some things. I know he said some stuff about Justin Trudeau in the pandemic being hey, you have to help out these communities. And I almost want to say he endorsed Biden at some point, but maybe I'm making that up. But I would say 90% of the time, Justin and Hailey Bieber are very neutral in things, which is such a loser way to exist. I feel like even though I don't love people who are super big Trumpies, I'm at least they have a backbone and they're using their voice and standing up for what they believe in, even though it's, backwards and twisted. At least they have it's not a moral compass, but it's a broken moral compass, if you're standing in a neutral stance, I'm just come on, stand up for something, use your voice. So I was very shocked to see that Justin and Hailey ended up wearing ice out pins, but very happy to see it nonetheless. I know Kehlani used her speech to bring it up. Like I said, Billie Eilish, Olivia Dean, Bad Bunny, just very exciting to see these artists not being afraid to speak up and use their voice, and just the least that they can do, they are going to this award show, they don't really have to worry about these things because it's just like a class thing. But like, again, it is the least that they can do. But it's very nice to see that there is some type of humanity still brought to these rooms that do feel kind of Hunger Games dystopian at times. And I do have to say, Trevor Noah, not only did he keep his foot on Trump's neck, the Nicki Minaj comment at the beginning took me out. And not only was it just so funny that like Trevor Noah said Nicki Minaj is not here and the entire crowd erupted, we got to see a Chrissy Teigen reaction at an award show, which is truly a recession indicator. Like, do you guys remember in 2016 at the Oscars, that photo of Chrissy Teigen that went so viral? And just like Chrissy Teigen in general, in 2016, like it was such a moment in culture, just her as, you know, a person. And I've been saying this for the last few months. I feel like it's time to bring Chrissy Teigen back into the mainstream. And I know she's on Star Search, and I feel like she's creeping her way back into the mainstream after she kind of dipped out for a bit. But I will say, seeing headlines about Chrissy Teigen's reactions at an award show really brought me back to 2016 and really it feels like a recession indicator in the best way possible. Talking about just reactions and people who had some big moments at the show, we've got to talk about the Cher of it all, because what an icon. Like, Cher is exactly who she thinks she is. It is Cher's world, and we are all living in it, whether you want to admit it or not. So she walks out to present Record of the Year, but first she gets this Lifetime Achievement Award. She gives the speech before she even announces Record of the Year. She's like, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna walk off now, and like turns around and goes, and Trevor has to literally bring her back on stage, which just like Cher literally, like I said, she lives in her world, and like she is who she thinks she is. She is a diva. She exists as that. And you know what? She's 79 years old. She can do whatever she wants. But then once they literally call her back to the stage, Trevor's like, hey, I can do it, but I would rather Cher do it. They bring her back to the stage. She's like, oh, right, sorry, gonna do it. She goes to announce it, opens the envelope, looks at the teleprompter, and is like, oh, it's on the teleprompter. I thought it was gonna be there. Like, completely doesn't know where she is, doesn't know what's going on, and then reads the envelope and announces that the Grammy for Record of the Year goes to Luther Vandross. And now, what I will say, the song is named after Luther Vandross, and he is featured in the song. Like, they do sample him in the song. So like, was she that far off? No. But was it fucking hilarious? Yes, it was very funny. And like, I will say, Cher is 79 years old. Like I said, she is also severely dyslexic. So like, we've got to cut her some slack. And I'm not coming on here to make jokes at her. Like, you know, it was just funny how it happened, and the whole bit of it, her walking off stage, and, you know, just the Cher of it all was really hilarious. But what I thought was so funny, and honestly, I thought it was really sweet, was the way that like Kendrick and the producers and everybody, like, they kept talking about it, and just like, to me, I don't know if they were like doing it as a joke, but to me, it was almost like they were like making it okay and like, you know, praising Luther as they did this speech when they won this Record of the Year. And like, you can see Cher in the background, like, she was standing in the group as if she was a producer on the song, but she kept apologizing to everybody. So you could tell that she knew that she fucked up. And if I haven't listened to it, but I know people always talk about, like, Cher in her audiobook said like, hey, I'm only reading part of this because I am severely dyslexic, and like, we will be here all week if I keep reading this. So, you know, just seeing that she did feel so bad and was apologizing so quick, it gave that like human sense back to Cher, you know, if that makes sense. I thought it was hilarious. And again, not in a way of like making fun of her, but it was just like I said, it is Cher's world and we are all living it. And it's just like, that's how it's going to go. That's the way the cookie crumbles. And like, Cher's going to be Cher. This is who she is. This is who she's always been. And she has never changed. And I hope she never does. And then the final moment we'll chat about, Harry Styles. What the fuck were you wearing? Like, I know we're not looking at Harry for fashion because like, he's never really been the most fashionable person, but like, what the fuck are you wearing? A sparkly blazer, a pair of blue jeans, and some mint green loafers. I just feel like your first television performance, or your first television appearance, during your new era, like the first one on the Grammys stage, let's go a little. I'm never one to want a black suit from a man. I think it is boring, but like, we could at least do a little bit more effort there. You know, I just was like, this is what we're stepping out in. Like, can we not go this route for the rest of the era? Like, I don't want these kind of looks for the rest of the era. I'll give you this one. It was his birthday. I'll give him a pass. Maybe he has a better birthday outfit. He didn't want to spoil it for the Grammys. He was saving it for his birthday party. I don't know. But like, what was this outfit? And I'm not one to usually come on here and talk about fashion. Like I used to do the red carpet and talk about my favorite looks or whatever. I'll do it for Met Gala because that's all it's about. But like, I don't talk about red carpet fashion really on this anymore because I don't care about it. If you look bad, you look bad. I'm here to see if you win or not and whatever. But like, this was one look that I could not look past because I'm like, Harry Styles, though, he still looked fine. That's the problem. Like, he can look fine in these outfits because he's Harry Styles. Like, he's going to look good. And that's what's annoying about it. He still did look good. But like, the jeans on the Grammy stage, the mint loafers that do not match anything. It's just like, this, I just hope this isn't like the creative direction he's taking for the rest of the era, for the outfit, for the tour, for any press he does or anything, because like, not for me. And I don't think anybody else. Like, I think everybody was kind of on board with this being a like, what? And it was Harry Lambert. Like, it was his usual stylist. He did it for him. And he posted the loafer today. And people in the comments like, I loved it. This was so cute. Are we looking at the same thing? Am I crazy? Like, I don't know. Something about this felt off, but whatever. It was 30 seconds of the show. Who I will say, whoever played Where the Hell Is My Husband and Harry Styles walked out, I hope they get a raise because that was hilarious and it was perfect. And I couldn't think of a better song to play as Harry walked out on stage because he is the internet's husband. And it's what we want to see. So whoever did that, give them a raise if you're listening. The Academy bumped their pay grade up a little bit for next year. But let's get into the performances from the night because there was a lot of performances this year and we kicked it off very strong, opening with Bruno Mars and Rosé performing Apathy. This was a very strong way to open the show. I mean, Apathy had potential to sweep at the Grammys this year, and though I don't like a sweep, I am shocked that they went home with 0 awards, which we'll get to in a little bit. I mean, what better way to open the show than like a song that truly was dominating everywhere? I mean, this song was inescapable and they did this new they almost like rocked it up a little bit. It wasn't the like regular song, they gave a little zhuzh to it, which I thought was really fun. And I thought it was a great way to open the show. It was fun. And, everybody loves Bruno. Rosé has such a huge fan base. Like, it was a good way to just like get people warmed up for what's to come throughout the night. Next up, we had Sabrina. And I mean, it's always fun. It's always well thought out. The creative direction is there. The outfits are there. The set design, the choreo, like everything about Sabrina Carpenter. She is a perfect pop star. And I will say that until the day that I die. What's not to love? Like, truly, like, this was a perfect pop performance. It was silly. She was doing this whole like airplane situation. I loved when she did the bridge, I believe it was, with the little, as if she was like the flight attendant and it was kind of like muffled on it. But that was really cute. I loved all of the guys and their like professional gear. We had like the dentist, we had the construction worker, very, very like The Giver Chapel Roan covers kind of like brought to the stage to perform Man-Child kind of vibes. But I thought it was really fun. Thought it was, like I said, Sabrina really knows how to have a clear creative vision for a performance. Even if you think back to like her VMA performance this year with Tears, or last year her performance at the Grammys when she did like the Goldie Hawn reference, which was so much fun, like tying in the Death Becomes Her of it all, of just like it just was she's so well thought out and so creative with her performances and everything. And like, this is how you do a pop performance. Like, she truly has it down to a perfect science that doesn't feel cookie cutter like Charli was running away from in the moment, but it feels so true to Sabrina, but still gives us the oohs and the ahs of a real big pop performance. This was great. I loved it. I was a little confused by the bird. I was like, why is there a bird flying around on stage with Sabrina Carpenter? But you know what? Everything else was so good that I'll let the bird fly, quite literally. I'll let the bird fly because Sabrina Carpenter is just so good at her job. She really is like Employee of the Year. I feel like every year when it comes to a performance, she just kills it. Next up, we had the Best New Artist medley, which I love the way that they do this. They started it last year, I'm pretty sure. I think it's so much fun, just like a nice way to give all the best new artists a chance to showcase themselves, showcase their work. And, they are the best new artists. So a lot of these people probably don't know who they are. They know their names. They don't realize what song it is. And I feel like this is the moment in the show where people are like, oh my God, I do know this song from TikTok or the commercial or this or that. And they start to tie it to the artist. And it's kind of where it's like a launching pad for people to jump on the train and realize who they are if they're not already on it. So we kicked it off with the Marias. And I'm going to say something. This sounds mean, but I don't mean it in a long way. Why were they on stage for so long? I feel like their performance was so much longer than any of the other Best New Artists. I was sitting here, I was working, like I said, and I was like, I thought we were watching a really long commercial. Like, it just felt like it was never ending with the Maria's performance. They sounded great. And like, I don't listen to them, but I know they have really big fans just from the social content that I was posting. People were like, give us more Marias. Everybody wanted to see the Marias last night on TikTok. I was like, all right, I got you. But it just felt like it was a really long performance. And it's not a dig or anything. I just was like, why are they getting all of this time when everybody else is like rushing to finish their set in time for like the next artist? It just felt like an uneven spread of time, but they sounded great. I thought they were fun. I mean, it seemed like everybody loved their performance online. So happy for them there. Next up, my girl, Miss Addison Rae. I mean, you guys already know I'm going to love it every time. She has such, similar to Sabrina, she has such a clear vision for who she is as a pop star. And this was so much fun. If you didn't see online, she started hanging wanted posters around the crypto arena last week that were like alluding to her performance, which I thought was so fun. And like, she really, like I said, commits to this pop stardom that she is now embracing. And she has such a clear vision for who she is as a pop star. I just cannot get enough of her. And as I'm sure every other gay person in the world also felt, this felt very much Hey Kitty Girl performance, All Stars 3. Like, I was like, this is literally, she stepped into the box, she's Shangela, stepped into the plate, she's Trixie Mattel. Like, it was very much giving All Stars 3 in the best way possible. I mean, that is an iconic All Stars performance, but like, she's like being rolled around on the little like, I don't even know what it's called. The little, where they keep like the speakers and the wires and shit. I don't know, the box, whatever, the black box, you know what I'm talking about. She's like getting rolled around on that. I'm like, this is literally giving All Stars 3. And I was kind of eating it up. I was like, she knows who she is and she knows her audience. And whether it was a reference or not, I'm sure that it actually wasn't. But you know what? I'm going to take it as a win for the gays, because if Addison Rae is on stage, it is automatically a win for the gays. Another win for the gays, that transition from Addison to Cat's Eye. Whoever did that was genius. I loved it. Addison going out of frame and Cat's Eye immediately coming up and you're ready to just like scream about chicken being gnarly and all that shit. I was eating up every single second of it. And there's the Cat's Eye of it all. Like, the fact that Cat's Eye is the first girl group to perform at the Grammy since Destiny's Child is so crazy, especially when you consider like the landscape in which girl groups are kind of treated in the music industry. Like, if you think like in the recent years, Fifth Harmony, Little Mix, like they were almost the butt of the joke. You know, like girl groups weren't always cool. But with Cat's Eye, with Blackpink, with Twice, like it feels like girl groups are cool again. And it's really exciting to like see a girl group perform at the Grammys. And like, they're not digestible to everybody. You know, Cat's Eye is they have a very niche audience that they speak to, and that audience loves everything that they do. But like, there is the majority of the world that is not going to enjoy gnarly. Let's just call it what it is. Like, they're not going to enjoy gnarly. They're not going to enjoy eating zucchini. Like, the majority of the world is not going to embrace Cat's Eye. However, they are so true to who they are, similar to Addison, that like they're going to do their thing. They're going to get up on this stage and they're going to be gnarly and they're going to do whatever the fuck they do. And you know what? For that, I have to applaud them. I think they're fun. I think they're exciting. There's something new in the music space that I feel like we were missing. And again, it's fun to watch a girl group get celebrated because it's not the common thread. We don't often see that kind of praise and celebration for a girl group. So this was very exciting for just to see Cat's Eye up there doing their thing. And I know that the girls at home were losing their shit. From Cat's Eye, we transition into Leon Thomas, who, I mean, what a talent. Like, not only is he just talented in his own music, but like he has written and produced so many hits, and like seeing him have this solo endeavor now and like really killing it. He's one of the most nominated artists of the entire year. Like, he had a standout year, and I'm so excited to see kind of how he continues to ride this wave. And like, he's not by all means a new artist in terms of like being an artist, but like as his own independent, you know, like person, I guess you could say he is a new artist because he's kind of really going for it with his music now and really embracing it. But I'm excited to see like what he does. I mean, he is so talented. He does so many different things. I mean, we saw him during this. We saw him during the In Memoriam later. Like, he really is a jack of all trades. He can produce, he can write, he can sing, he can play these instruments. Like, he is such a talent. And seeing him on that stage performing, it was just fun. And like, people were like, oh my God, like Hollywood Arts really does produce some great talent making Victorious jokes. And like, it is really funny when you think back, like we met him as Andre on Victorious and now he's performing at the Grammys. Like, it's just like a fun little tidbit to be like, that was literally Andre on Victorious. And now here he is singing at the Grammys, doing his damn thing, nominated for 6 awards. Just a very fun moment for him. And I'm very happy to see the success that he is having. Next up, Alex Warren. I feel so bad for him because of the way that his in-ears were not working. And you could tell from the second that they showed him on camera, his in-ears were not working because he was like playing with them, touching them, and he was just off from the beginning. What I will say is, though, the mic was clearly on because Alex Warren sounded great. Even though he was offbeat, he still sounded really good. And like, clearly he is a very talented person. He knows what he's doing, and it just was a sound mishap. You know, it happens. It is the thrill of live music and what's going to happen here and there. You know, obviously they rehearse and try to make this not happen, but like, that showbiz, baby, is gonna happen. And he handled it very well. He ripped the thing out of his ear, and then he finally got with the beat. And like, once he was on, it was great. And I'm not Alex Warren's demo, you know, like I'm not listening to him often, but like I do appreciate him and his music and like his success over the last year. So I'm very happy that he ended up getting with it. And like I said, even when he wasn't with it, he still sounded great. So you know what? It's a win for Alex either way. From Alex, we transitioned into Lola Young, and I am just so happy to see Lola Young back on stage, happy, healthy, being celebrated by this entire room. She had a really rough end of 2025, and like the Grammys being her comeback is so iconic, and just like, I'm just happy to see her thriving. Spoiler alert, she ends up winning a Grammy, which we'll get into in a little bit, but seeing her perform, seeing her at the Grammys looking so healthy. She was also at the Best New Artist party with Spotify last week, which all these people were, they all performed, and that was her first performance since All Things Go, which if you remember, she passed out on stage and then canceled her entire rest of her tour, which is not the way you want like your big debut year to go. You know, like she was really having a huge moment. She was on fire, and like her album came out, she kept doing press and it was just too much. And unfortunately, like she did crumble from it, but like she's back. She is doing great. She looks happy. She sounded great. And I'm just so happy to see her back performing, happy and healthy again. It was a really exciting night for Lola Young. And then we have what I'm going to go ahead and say my favorite performance of the entire night, Olivia Dean. I mean, she's so talented. She is so incredible. I thought she was just up there. She's somebody who was born to be performing. She was like glowing on stage. Her vocals were incredible. She looked fabulous. I've been loving her album. I am just so happy for the success that she's having, and cannot wait to see the way that she continues to just like dominate 2026, because all the success, everything she's getting is so well deserved. But more on Olivia in just a little bit. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I mean, you guys already know she won Best New Artist, but we'll get there in a few minutes. And then we end the Best New Artist performance with the world's tallest disco ball, Somber. It was great. It was so much fun. I mean, he's really having such a moment on just every front. I mean, he's charting great. He's doing great on TikTok. Just like everything he's doing, I feel like is really just on point, and he's killing it. And he has he's like one of those artists that I think about where people know his songs, but aren't necessarily tying it to him yet. But I feel like after last night, people are really going to jump on the Somber train even more than they already were. Honestly, a great Best New Artist medley. Why did that sound so weird? Great Best New Artist medley all around. I was very impressed with everybody's performances, and I'm so happy to see this new class of Best New Artists ushered into the Grammys. Next up, we had Justin Bieber, which is a huge deal. He has not performed at the Grammys in 4 years. He hasn't performed much really in the last, I don't even know how long. And you know, I'm happy to see him back on stage. He sounded great. He looks happy. He looks healthy. Him and Haley looked so cute together at the show. But talk about Go Girl, Give Us Nothing. He was just standing there on stage in his underwear, singing, strumming a guitar, which like is fine. But you're Justin Bieber. I'm like, give us a little something more, perform Daisies and give us a little bit more exciting stuff. It's just, I'm like I said, he sounded great. Just getting him on stage alone is a huge deal. Like the fact that he was even performing and willing to go there and like walk the carpet and do the whole thing is a huge deal. But I was like, can we get a little bit more energy? Can we get a little bit of a bigger performance? Like you remember Justin Bieber back in the day? Like he would dance. He was a dancer. He would perform. He would fly around a stadium. Like he would kill it. And I know he's gone through a lot. And of course, I'm not discrediting that or whatever. But like, come on, you're going to stand there in your underwear. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I am not mad about watching Justin Bieber in his underwear for 3 minutes. Like I was very pleased with the visual of him, you know, in his little undies on stage. I wasn't mad about that. But give us a little bit more, you know, I would have traded the underwear for a real big performance. You know, it's your big comeback to the Grammys and this big moment. Bieber's back in the house. Like, give us a little bit more, you know, and again, it wasn't bad. He sounded good. I'm happy to see he's on stage, happy that he's healthy. But I'm very curious to see, like, what does his Coachella performance hold if that's what his Grammy performance? Like, I I hope the Beliebers don't get a Frank Ocean moment at Coachella where he just like gets on stage dancing to his music. And I hope Justin actually gives them a show and a performance. And I'll eat my words. One thing about me, I'm going to eat my words. I'm going to clean the plate like a clean. When I am wrong, I will own it. I'm a little nervous for what Justin Bieber is going to bring to Coachella. But you know what? We will have to wait and see come April. Next up, we had Lady Gaga, who, I mean, what is not to love? Lady Gaga she's always going to give us a performance. She's always going to give us theatrics. She's always going to give us vocals, and it's always going to be great. Not to mention how full circle this is, performing Abracadabra at the Grammys in 2026 when the song debuted during the commercials in 2025 with that MasterCard music video that she did. Like, this was so full circle. And I mean, Mayhem has really been such a huge forced in the last year. I feel like it's Gaga's return to this like dark pop kind of thing, and she's able to like do her artistry and, you know, her rah-rah shit and, you know, be a little weird, be a little kooky, and like it's so embraced and so loved. Like, she is so back, you know. I feel like she was a little lost trying to find her sound, and it was great every time she did it. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Joanne, I loved everything she's been doing, but like, you know, it wasn't the Gaga that we all met back in 2009 with the Fame and the Fame Monster, and, you know, it was a little bit of a veer off the path, which was still fabulous. But, you know, it is nice to see her kind of return to this, and this was great. She sounded great. The outfit was so good. Like, she didn't do much on stage. It wasn't like she was like dancing and moving around, which I know I just said that about Justin Bieber, but like when you look at Justin Bieber in his underwears and compare it to Lady Gaga doing what she did with Abracadabra, it is apples and oranges, you know. Like, I feel like there's not really an argument there. What I will say, so if we didn't even talk about this on the podcast, because I was like, I don't know what to talk about with it because there's not really like much to say. She did a live show in LA last week or the week before called Mayhem Requiem. People's phones were taken away. There was no way to record anything in there. And it was for Apple Music. I'm assuming Apple Music recorded it, but it was allegedly this like whole new Mayhem re-envisioned album, very rock heavy, all new production, all new vocals. Like, it was a very like rock and like just everything was different about Mayhem, which I'm wondering if this Abracadabra performance is what she did at Mayhem Requiem. And I wonder if this was her being like, hey, you're getting it soon. Like, don't forget, you're going to get this. And like, I wonder if like when she kicks off the Mayhem ball again, if we're going to get it before then or something. Like, I just feel like she didn't do that show for no reason, you know, like we're definitely going to get something from it eventually. And I feel like this was probably a tease into what she performed at Mayhem Requiem, so it's not so jarring when we get it. But if it's anything like this new Abracadabra that she did, I am all in. I thought this was great. She sounded great. She looked great. This was a fabulous night for Gaga. I am so thrilled to see her back on the Grammy stage. And then we get Bruno Mars back on stage again. And you know what? Sure. Like I've been saying, people love Bruno and they eat him up. They will never get tired of him. I said it the other week, but he can release the same song every 5 years and people are going to eat it up like they've never heard it before. And that is not a drag. It is just a fact of the matter. He comes back and performs I Just Might. And you know what? It was fun. It was great. Him and the hooligans up there doing their thing. The lights, the stage of it all, his outfit, everything about it was so much fun. So true to Bruno. I thought this was great. And I didn't even mind that like we got 2 Bruno performances in one night because like, he is a Grammy darling. They love him. And I'm sure I'll call it now. Bruno will probably sweep at the Grammys next year, unfortunately, because again, I hate a sweep, but like I do think Bruno will get very highly favored at the Grammys next year. And he knows how to put on a great performance. So like, what is there to be mad about a double Bruno feature at the Grammys this year? Our next performer was Tyler, the Creator, and this was crazy. He is such a creative, like he has such a way of expressing his art, and like it was definitely a little jarring. I mean, hitting somebody with a car and blowing up the gas station, and like it was definitely a little like, what the fuck is going on with this performance? But like, it was very true to Tyler and very true to like how he is. And I don't listen to Tyler that often, but I have a lot of friends who do. And like, I know I watch like a lot of his concerts on TikTok because I like to see what people are doing. And like, he does have a certain performance art that he likes to do. And I like that he didn't stray away from it just because he was going to be on the Grammys. He almost like embraced it more. I thought it was really like, I hate to say it was fun when people are like dying on stage, but like the concept was very unique and creative. And like I said, it was very true to who Tyler is. So I'm glad he kept the theatrics and he definitely, he went for it, and he wasn't afraid to like stray away from who he really is to like give the Grammys what they want. He just like went for it, gave a true Tyler performance, and he was like, this is me, hear me roar, boom, blow up a gas station. And next up, we had the In Memoriam, which I'm not going to lie, I got the run-up show for the Grammys the night before, or like the morning up. So of course I looked at it. I got it. I was looking through it for work just to like know what I needed to be doing at what point. And when I got to the page with the In Memoriam on it, I was like, why the fuck is this performance going to be 20 minutes long? Now, that's no disrespect. Of course, we are using this time to honor those who have passed and honor those that have left us. But when I saw that this performance was going to be 20 minutes long, I was like, what the fuck do you mean? Did that many people die? Which I know is a little disrespectful. I'm very self-aware, but I'm also allowed to like be like, what the fuck? And then I realized why it needed to be so long. We have lost some great talents this year. Ozzy Osbourne, D'Angelo, Roberta Flack, on top of so many other people. So I do think the way that they did it was very smart, because it wasn't just like, some producers and, some things like that. It was huge names in music. So they did have to do the traditional one, which they made such a big deal out of Reba performing at the Grammys for the first time. So when she came out for that, I thought she was going to, I don't know. I don't know what I expected Reba to do, but I was like, oh, she's performing the In Memoriam. Okay, sure, whatever. She sounded good. Like it was a great honor for her to do it. But I was like, this is her first performance at the Grammys and it's honoring those who have passed. I mean, it is an honor, but I was like, oh, okay, sure. But then we have the Ozzy tribute, which I was honestly really happy that they didn't go the obvious route and give Youngblood another performance. Not to say that his performance at the VMAs wasn't incredible, because I think it's the most watched VMA performance from the 2025 show. Like it was so incredible, and he really does embody Ozzy and really just like fully goes for it. But it was nice to see somebody else doing it and showing like a different side of how to pay tribute to Ozzy, with Post Malone. Slash was on stage. Like they had a lot of just good, fun ways to pay tribute. The whole Osbourne family was there and they were showing them through the crowd, and you could tell they were very honored and touched by it. So I thought that was great. And then D'Angelo, seeing Miss Lauryn Hill on the Grammy stage again for the first time, and I think it was like 20 something years. Insane. I never thought we would see the day of Miss Lauryn Hill stepping foot on stage at the Grammys again. And they had everybody booked for this performance. Leon Thomas, John Batiste, John Legend, Wyclef. Like they pulled out everybody for this D'Angelo and Roberta Flack tribute. Like it was really impressive, the names that they had on that stage paying homage to these artists that we did lose this year. And then Miss Lauryn Hill performing Killing Me Softly, which is a cover of Roberta Flack's song. And I would say that it's probably Miss Lauryn Hill's biggest song, like that everybody knows her from. So people probably don't realize that it is a cover. I feel like the general public doesn't know that. So for her to be up there paying respect to Roberta Flack and, just that full circle moment, and Lauryn Hill being back on the Grammy stage, it was a really beautifully produced and beautifully well thought out way to honor those who have passed. So though I did raise a brow at a 20-minute long performance, in the end, I understood why they had to do it, and it did make a lot of sense. And then the final performance of the night was Clips. I'm going to be honest, this is a blind spot for me. I'm not familiar with them. I don't listen to them. But I thought that the performance was really good. They had the choir element, which was fun. They had like the lights that made it really dramatic and theatrical, and then it snowed at the end. Like I said, this is a blind spot for me, and that's on me. It's just like a part of music that I'm not familiar with. But I thought they sounded great. It looked great. Like it was a good performance. And Clips had a great year last year. People were thrilled that they came back. Pharrell jumping on the project was huge. And even Pharrell in the performance was massive. But again, kind of a blind spot for me, but I can still appreciate it. I can still say I like the theatrics. I like the snow. It was a lot of fun. They were doing more than Justin Bieber was. And you know what? That's an A in my book. And those are our performances for the year. Moving into our wins, our awards, because at the end of the day, this is an award show, even though it is kind of taken up by performances and they only show 9 awards throughout the actual show because it's all performances, the rest. It is an award show nonetheless. So let's go through just some of the wins that are more, Too Pop to Handle coded. But of course, with the big four, we're going to go through all of them. Kicking it off with the man of the hour, album of the year, going to Dimitri Ramas Photos, Bad Bunny. This is the timeline I want to live in. Don't get me wrong, Bad Bunny's album is incredible and deserved this whether or not our country was going to shit. But the fact that Bad Bunny won Album of the Year with the current state of our world, being the first album to ever win Album of the Year that is a full Spanish album, is so incredible. The moment when he won and he just starts crying at his table, he takes it in for a second. Like, this was such a huge moment for for him, for all of the people in our country who are terrified of what is happening, for Puerto Rico, for just everybody who is so seen through Bad Bunny and his music. And, you know, he is such a once in a lifetime artist, and seeing him get this honor is so incredible, and I could not be happier that he took home Album of the Year. I was saying I was happy with Mayhem, The Beach Grandma's Photos, or GNX by Kendrick Lamar. Like, any of those three winning, I thought was correct. But this was the real correct answer. Like, this feels right. And like, what a way to start Super Bowl week. I mean, on this Sunday, he wins Album of the Year. Next Sunday, he's performing at the Super Bowl. Like, this is a great week to be Bad Bunny. And I just love living in a world where Bad Bunny is on top. Like, it is exactly the way that I want things to be with Bad Bunny. Record of the Year went to Luther, Kendrick Lamar, and SZA. Very well deserved. Song of the Year went to Wildflower by Billie Eilish. And now this is one that I don't agree with at all. I thought this was just a throwaway nomination, to be honest, because I did not think Wildflower was the Song of the Year. Now, it's not a bad song, similar to what I was saying earlier with Billie sweeping in 2020. Not that she does not deserve it, but I just don't see Wildflower as the Song of the Year, especially when you look at the other people who were nominated. I was dead set on Golden K-Pop Demon Hunters winning Song of the Year. It is won at every other award show. It is inescapable. I have not watched a second of K-Pop Demon Hunters, and I know most of the words to that song because you cannot escape it anywhere you go. They did, however, win the Grammy for Best Song Written for Visual Media, so they didn't go home empty-handed. But they have won every award for, like, Song of the Year at every other show this award season, I'm pretty sure. So, like, for them to not win the Grammy, I was shocked by. And not even just them. Take them out of the equation. Apate, going home empty-handed, shocked. Abracadabra also was a bigger song, I feel like, than Wildflower. Anxiety by Doechii, she did win, which we'll get to in a little bit. She did win a Grammy for Anxiety. I think it was Best Music Video. That I thought had a bigger moment than Wildflower did. And even DTMF, the title track from Bad Bunny's album. Like, though I don't want a sweep, I just feel like these songs were bigger than Wildflower was. In terms of, like, when I look back at 2025, I don't think I'm going to think Wildflower or Billie Eilish. I'm honestly going to think Golden K-Pop Demon Hunters. Like, that's the song that's going to define 2025. So this was a weird choice. But again, happy for Billie, you know, add another Grammy to your roster. And she did use her speech to fully say fuck ICE. So you know what? I cannot be mad at her winning because she is using her platform, as she always does, for good. But I was just shocked at this. I really did not think, this was not even like in my maybes. You know, you always have like this is my who's going to win and then my maybes. She wasn't even in my maybe category at all. But you know, whatever. That's how the cookie crumbles. And then for Best New Artist, like I said earlier, we had Olivia Dean, which is so well deserved. And I'm just going through some other of the people who won, you know, some Too Pop to Handle adjacent awards, if you will. Best Pop Solo Performance went to Lola Young, which was so well deserved. Her reaction was so sweet. And you can tell that this was like a really healing night for Lola, performing at the Grammys, winning a Grammy. This is what she deserves and her comeback. And I'm so happy to see her thriving in this 2026 year. Best Pop Duo Group Performance. This one shocked the fuck out of me. Best Pop Duo Performance going to Defying Gravity, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. The fact that Ariana Grande won a Grammy in the year 2026 and not an Oscar is truly the craziest sentence I have ever said on this podcast. Like, there is no world in which I thought Ariana Grande would ever win a Grammy again because she's not one of their darlings. They don't favor her. They play in her face. We all remember 2018 when they flew Mac Miller's family out and we all thought she was going to win Album of the Year and she gave them this crazy big performance and then she didn't win it. They like to play in her face a lot, the Academy. So to see her name on a Grammy in 2026, this is a big deal. And I was genuinely shocked by this. Like, this was not on my radar at all. Just the Ariana Grande of it all. Like, I did not expect that at all. Next up, we had Best Pop Vocal Album going to Mayhem by Lady Gaga. Very well deserved. She thanked Michael in her speech. She talked about how important it is to be a woman in a studio and speaking for yourself. Just, I love this album. I loved the whole era, everything about it. I'm so happy that she did not walk home empty-handed. She also won for Best Dance Pop Recording for Abracadabra, so though it didn't win Song or Album of the Year, Mayhem did get its flowers. But Best Dance Pop Recording was a stacked category. I mean, Selena Gomez, Blue is Flame, Zara Larson, Pink Panther, Tate McRae. Like, this was a very stacked category considering the year that we had for music, and I'm thrilled that Gaga won, but like, it really could have been anybody's win. Like, truly, I did not know who was going to take this, but I am very happy that Gaga did it because though she didn't get Song or Album of the Year, these are like Best Pop. And like, to me, that was nominated wise, I do think Jade's was my favorite of 2025, but it wasn't nominated, though it can be for next year. You know, the cutoff can still count. But out of the nominated ones, like this was the best pop album to me at least, and clearly to the Academy as well. Another very exciting win, we saw Kehlani win her first 2 Grammys, which were Best R&B Performance and R&B Song for Folded. We also saw Leon Thomas win Best R&B Album, which is very exciting. And then Kendrick Lamar broke the record for the most Grammy wins for a rapper in history. He got 5 wins last night. Record of the Year, Best Rap Album, Best Rap Song, Best Melodic Rap Performance, and Best Rap Performance for his collab with Clips. So huge night for Kendrick. Again, though he did technically sweep in 5, it wasn't the Kendrick Lamar show all night. You know what I mean? Like he had his 2 wins that he won, and then he on stage, and then that was that. We got to see a bunch of people go up and accept their awards. Bad Bunny, he got 3 last night. Like I said, of course, the biggest one, Album of the Year. He also won for Best Musica Urbana Album and Best Global Music Performance. Another very exciting one is Tyla. She won the Grammy for Best African Music Performance for Push to Start. And I feel like Tyla's gotten a lot of shit this year. People just kind of like ragging on her online, saying like she flopped after her big year last year. And, you know, people had a lot to say after like her music didn't perform as well as Water did, which is such a toxic way to think. I say it all the time, like stan culture is literally the death of the music industry. But I'm so happy to see that she won a Grammy for this. She deserves it. And I think she is just such a true, genuine talent and is so in her own lane that I'm just thrilled to see Tyla getting the flowers that she deserved. You guys know I am a theater kid at heart. So for Best Musical Theater Album went to Buena Vista Social Club, which people love this show. Their Tony performance was incredible. People rant and rave about this show all the time. I think it won 5 Tonys this year, if I'm not mistaken. I know it won more than 1, so that's huge. I want to say it's 5. I can see the marquee outside because I walk by it all the time. It's huge for them. Very exciting to see them getting a Grammy as well. And then Sinners took home 2 awards for Best Compilation Soundtrack for Visual Media and Best Score Soundtrack for Visual Media. And then, like I said earlier, Doechii did take home the Grammy for Best Music Video for Anxiety, which Anxiety kind of became like a butt of the joke on the internet. Like everybody was begging for it for so long. When she finally released it, everyone was like, actually, we fucking hate this, which I disagree with. I think it's a great song. I love the way that she re-recorded it and re-released it and remade the music video, and like we talked about it on the podcast when it happened. I don't understand why people suddenly turned on her for that song. I think it is still a great song and a very like an incredible sample of somebody that I used to know. And I don't know, that was very well deserved. I love the music video. We talked about it. Actually, it was on the newsletter we talked about it. I remember writing about it. But yeah, nonetheless, very exciting year for the Grammys. I am thrilled to have another Grammys in our Too Pop to Handle roster. And now the countdown is until 2027. No, I'm just kidding. We have some other big things coming up. Obviously, we're only 1 month in, but that is the 2026 Grammys. I thought it was a really great show. I mean, I really am just so thrilled for Bad Bunny taking home the award for Album of the Year. Like, he has been so vocal about politics and about why he's not coming to the US on tour and how he wants a safe environment for his fans. And he's so proactive and so always just like giving back to Puerto Rico and all of these other communities. And it is just so exciting to see him taking this home. I couldn't be happier for him. I'm so happy Kendrick had so many wins. Gaga had so many wins. It was a really good year. I am shocked to see Sabrina going home with none, but I mean, she had a great year last year. Again, I think Man's Best Friend was a little undercooked. I don't think it was a bad album, but I think if she would have sat on it for like 6 more months and just like fine-tuned some things, it would have stood out more. I feel like it's not of the year, best blank of the year worthy. And again, it doesn't mean it's a bad album. I just don't think it deserved an award the way that Mayhem or, all these other albums did. But that's another Grammys in the book. And until next year, we will chat about the Grammys then. But you guys know we are not done just yet. We still have our TV recap, our Yes and Mess. So buckle up, grab a drink, and let's keep this party going because it is another day in the workroom and we are recapping RuPaul's Drag Race Season 18, Episode 5 or 6. I don't know. We're somewhere in the season. Talent show week. Let's get into it. And what I'm going to say is I think it's insane of RuPaul to make these queens do Raid a Queen after they all know each other. We have these alliances. We see Juicy, Athena, and Mia making their alliance. Then we see the Glam team all make an alliance. They got to like figure out their roster of who they're going to rank. I don't know how these queens remember who they're going to rank and what alliances they made because there are so many alliances. It's like, well, I made this alliance first and then I made this one. So I have to rank them before you, but I'm going to rank you before her because we were in this together. And then I'm going to rank her last because she's doing well, but I'm also going to put her there because she's my grandmother. Like, it is truly like, it's a crazy equation these girls are doing just to rate a few queens. I'm like, we could just like let it go on like who did the best and like who did the worst. But you know, it does make it more fun when they make it a little more personal. So though I am shocked at Rate a Queen being 5 or 6 episodes in, RuPaul is a messy bitch. And you know what? We love her for it. And we love to see her make these queens sweat a little bit. And on the runway this week, the category is Not Today Satin. Great name for a runway. Great concept for a runway. However, I'm not going to lie to you guys. This wasn't my favorite runway. Like it didn't blow me away really at all. Nobody was really like groundbreaking, but there were some highlights. There were some lowlights. And so let's get into them, shall we? Kicking it off with Sierra Mist. I liked this. Was it groundbreaking? No, it was fine. It was cute. I really liked her headpiece and I liked the way that her train moved. You know, that's what I was saying about Briar last week, that her train, she would like throw it and it was made of like plastic, so it didn't go anywhere. This had movement, this flowed, you know, it was satin. It had some movement to it, which I do appreciate, but I wasn't like floored by this runway. It was good. It was cute. It was a safe look. Next up, we had Juicy, who I would say was my favorite of the week. I loved this. And now there were some people online, which, you know, the internet is a plague, but they were saying how like she worked with the designer. So of course it looks good. I don't give a fuck. I don't care that Juicy Love Dion worked with the designer. This outfit was so fabulous. I loved it. This was a great week for Juicy Love Dion. And on the flip side, Nene Coco, not so much of a great week. There was just a lot going on. And it was that like, you know, that typical take one thing off before you leave. I think Nene could have taken like 6 things off this look. And I love Nene. I'm going to say she's my front runner right now. I really want her to win. But this runway just didn't do it for me. There was a lot going on. I didn't know what I was looking at. It was a cool concept, this like starfish, coral reef kind of vibe, but it was just a lot going on. However, I need to break my silence and admit to you guys, I have a crush on Nene Coco. I can't keep hiding it. I think she, out of drag, is so cute. And every time she's on screen, I just like blush and kick my feet a little bit. Like I have a little crush on Nene Coco, and I'm not afraid who knows it, though. I think the entire internet has a crush on Nene Coco right now, so that is not groundbreaking information. But I just want to let you guys know, I'm right there with you. Next up, we had Avita. I like this a lot. Was it as good as last week's runway? Absolutely not. Last week's was unbelievable, but I really did like this. I thought the wig color with the green, like the red and the green contrast, very Poison Ivy. I really liked it. It's like a classic combo. And again, I liked it a lot. It's not going to beat last week's, like I said. I mean, that was an unbelievable runway, but this was good. I thought she looked good, especially considering like some of these girls, I was like, what the fuck are we wearing? Speaking of, next up we had Darlene Mitchell, which was just, it was fine. Was it the worst thing I've ever seen? No. Was it the best thing I've ever seen? Not even close to it. It was just fine. I don't know. I was not wowed by it. And you guys know I've been loving Darlene Mitchell. I think she is so much fun and such a breath of fresh air on Drag Race. But this week just wasn't that great. And you know what? That is okay. It's fine. Next up, we had Mia Starr. This could have been great, but the proportions were so off. That bow was massive and I didn't understand it. Like I was like, the bow could have been cute. And it was also like not perked up. Like the bow was like sagging down. If the bow had some structure to it and was like up and like not like just on her chest and floppy down, it would have been a lot better, I think. And I just think the bow could have been scaled down a bit and it would have been a lot cleaner, but it wasn't the worst of the week. It wasn't my favorite of the week. It was fine. Next up we had Mikey Meeks, and I like this a lot. Again, didn't blow me away, but it was fun. This was definitely higher up on my ranking compared to most of the girls. I thought that thing going over her head, like that silk ribbon, was really cool. The way it wrapped around her body was cool. She will always get points for me for her face. Her face is always fabulous. Like she does her makeup so well. I think she is so gorgeous. And this was a really good look. It just didn't like rock my socks off, as really none of the looks this week did. Next up, this is just a no for me from the jump. Athena, nothing about this I liked. I didn't like the textures. I didn't like the color on her. I didn't like any of it. I did not like a single thing from Athena on this runway. It was just a no for me. Okay, I'll give her face. Her face is always painted, and I can't give Mikey that comment, and I'll give it to Athena because she's just very great at doing her makeup. But for the look, absolutely not. Did not like it. Next up was Kenya Pleaser, and considering she doesn't sew, I will take it. Now, I do think she loses points because she fully admitted to not coming prepared for this runway, and she had to take something from Jane and reconstruct it into this dress. So like that was bold of her to do. I was like, why are you admitting that? Why are you admitting you came unprepared? However, she did look good. The colors were great on her and she sells it every time. Even that first design challenge when she came out with some tulle wrapped around her waist and a little bra, she still sells it. She has the personality. She has the star power, which does help you a lot. Next up, we had Jane Don't, which I am so let down by because Jane Don't is so talented. Like, she had really been a standout all season long, and this just wasn't it for me. Like, it could have been good, but it was a lot. The feathers were doing one motion and moving in one direction. The dress was moving in another, and the dress was a little ill-fitting at some point. And again, I'm not a drag queen. I couldn't do this, so I got to give them props where props are due. But when Jane Don't is delivering these incredible runway packages, and now 5 episodes in, we're like, oh, what is this? It wasn't, I was gonna say it wasn't bad, but like, it also wasn't good. It was just okay. I thought the bird was a lot. Like, why was the bird strangling her? There was just like a lot going on. And again, similar to Nene, I think she could have edited, maybe not 4 or 5, like I said, for Nene, but she could have taken like one thing off and made this outfit a lot better than it was. But I mean, Jane Don't has had a killer season so far, so you can't be perfect every single week. And then finally, we had Discord Adams. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. I didn't like a single thing about this. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Nothing about it. Now, moving into the talent show, the girls are split up. So we get half the girls this week, half the girls next week. So for this first round, we have Ciara, Juicy, Nene, Vita, Darlene, and Mia. Kicking it off with Ciara, who is telling the girls she's going to do this like slam poetry thing. And now, I didn't know what I was expecting, to be honest. And I can appreciate, some poetry, some self-reflection, a little, inner saboteur coming out. This was just a little all over the place. Like, I liked the reveal. I understood like the spoken word of it, but it just like, I don't know. Something about it felt off to me. And it wasn't that it was bad, but when you do that and then Juicy Love Dion goes after you, it's like, all right, suddenly I forgot all about this. And like, we need to focus on the real big thing at hand, which is Juicy Love Dion. We finally get to see her perform. I have been waiting for this the entire season. Like I told you guys when we met the queens at the beginning of the season, I love Juicy because I found her on TikTok years ago. Actually, I followed Juicy before I followed Morphine. And like I found the two of them through each other, but like I saw Juicy on either Twitter or TikTok or somewhere. And I was like, who is this woman? I need to follow her. And I've been hooked ever since. This is what I have been waiting for. This is the fantasy that I know. This was fabulous. She is such a performer. The way she moves her body, the way she sells it in her face, like she is truly next level when it comes to a lip sync and a performance and a dance. I mean, she was on So You Think You Can Dance last season. Like not So You Think You Can Dance, So You Know You Can Dance, girl. Like she is unbelievable. This was so good. She is just such a talent. My God, I'm so happy the world has finally seen her perform on the main stage because it is what we deserve. Next up, we had Nene Coco. And now, the internet has seen this before, but honestly, I did not mind. She did like the whole praying mantis thing, and I have a fun little connection to this. So back in April of last year, I posted a TikTok reacting to a song, and I went crazy viral. It is my most viewed TikTok to this day. And if you go to the audio on TikTok, I am like to this day, the most viewed video on that audio. Hang on, I'm gonna look. I think it has like 18 million views on TikTok. 17.9 million views, 3.5 million likes. And yeah, when you go to the actual sound, it's called Mother 8 by Jane Bell. When you go to the actual sound, I am the top most popular video of this song, which is kind of fucking crazy. But that being said, when this song started trending, not after my video, but like it did get a lot of traction on TikTok after I posted it, Nene did a lip sync to this. And now at the time, people tagged me in it a lot because of the song. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. I didn't realize it was Nene Coco. And then she does this and I'm like, holy fuck, this is a full circle moment for me. Because I remember watching this and having that moment of like, whoa, like this song is blowing up on TikTok. Again, not because of me, but there were definitely a lot of new eyes and ears on the song after I posted it. And again, I did not blow it up, but 17.9 million views isn't too shabby for, an unknown artist. But that being said, I had seen this before. We had seen it before. People were kind of dragging her for it. I didn't mind it because again, it's not like it was a viral video. It wasn't like it was, oh my God, why can't I think of Tamisha's drag mother's name, but like Tamisha Iman, when she came out and like announced herself, they all knew her drag mom's performance where she comes out in the split and like does that thing. Like that was a huge moment. I don't think Nini's was to that level where like people knew it that well. Only people who were really online knew it. So I didn't mind it. I thought it was fun. It was really silly. It's a fun little concept. I thought she looked great. It was a fun talent for Nini. And on the other hand, we had Vita. What was that? Low energy, low hanging fruit. It was very simple. I mean, it was like a Jane Fonda style 80s workout video. It just was like, I expect more from Vita. You know, I expect like a bigger talent from somebody who I know is so talented. Not a great week for her in terms of her talent show, but I mean, it is what it is. Again, you can't be perfect all the time. Second to last, we had Darlene. This was really cute. I liked it a lot. It was very silly, very fun, which we expect from Darlene. I think this is like her bread and butter, is being just silly, funny, campy. This was really cute. It was really fun. But again, when you're performing with Juicy Love Dion on the stage, like a lip sync song as Bob the Builder isn't going to get you that far. But I did like it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was really cute. And then finally, we had Mia, who, I mean, she has danced with Rihanna. She has done tours and choreo with some of the greats. We knew she was going to kill it on this stage, and it was so much fun. She has the energy. She knows how to move. She killed it on this stage. And then we have the Rate Queen rankings, where the girls go in and do their PEMDAS and their, math equations to remember who's alliance and who's doing this and who did, the whole thing. And we come to find out that the bottom queen is Ciara, which I do agree with. And then the top two are Juicy and Mia, which I do also agree with. However, I do think if the judges were the ones judging, I think there's a world where it could have been Juicy and Nini in the top. Not that Mia wasn't great, but I could see, where they could sub out Mia or Nini. But again, this is Rate Queen, their alliances. And don't get me wrong, Mia's was incredible. Like, I am not discrediting it. But, I could have seen a world in which Nini was in the top with her as well. But I am not mad about it. And we see the girls lip sync to Pretty Ugly by no other than our special guest judge, Zara Larson, the queen that she is. She looked great on this show. She was just such a charm to have on that judges panel. I was thrilled to see her as a guest judge on Drag Race. And I was so happy they went with Pretty Ugly, because that song is so fucking cunty. Like, that song is made for a drag queen to lip sync to. And we get a lip sync between the top two this week. Thank God. Juicy and Mia. Honestly, a performance we have all been waiting for. Doing it to Pretty Ugly. I mean, come on. This lip sync was fucking next level. They were using that stage, every inch of it. They were jumping this way, going that way, gyrating over here, twerking over there, spinning around over here. It was so incredible. I loved every second of it. Now, we did see one. Like, I do think Juicy deserved to have this win under her belt, but the fact that they are drag family and like they did have their alliance and they are so close, I am totally okay with this tie. They both did fabulous. It is what it is. Like I said, nobody's gonna go home anyway, so I'll take it. It is what it is. What a fucking performance though. Like, you gotta give it to them. They were all over that stage. It was great. And then we have part 2 next week. So we will have to, wait and see how the talent show finishes out next week. But I mean, can we just take a moment for Juicy? My God, it was next fucking level. She is such a performer. I am so happy that she is on this season. Like, if you've never seen Juicy Love Dion performing at Palace, go look it up right now, because she is unbelievable. And like, seeing her on the main stage finally doing what she does best, chef's kiss, not a single fucking note. She is an icon. And moving into the next show that we're recapping this week, The Traitors. So we left off on a very big cliffhanger with Alan throwing this banquet. And we get to the banquet knowing that the Traitors are doing a murder in plain sight, where one of them they have to get one of the faithfuls to touch Lisa's brooch. let me just say, these producers are so good with fucking with these guys' heads. Like doing the whole tarot card thing, and then they're all wondering, are the cards something? Is who's serving the food something? Like they really know how to get into these people's heads and like fully do mental gymnastics to figure out who's a traitor, who's a faithful, and like they had their heads fucking spinning. I do think Lisa pulled off a flawless murder in sight. Like I was saying last week, it was such an easy way to do it. Just say, oh, it's stabbing me. Can you help me adjust this? Like, can you just fix it for me quick? Easy, done. They touch it, boom, they're killed. I was so happy she did not overthink it because I can see a world in which they all overcomplicate it, and this was not something to overcomplicate. I think the more complicated ones are when they have to like open a picture frame in the castle in front of everybody. But this was like a very easy way to do a murder in plain sight. So I'm glad they did not overthink it. Now, I am sad that we saw Jam Jam get killed because I did like him a lot, but I do understand. Just considering like who is in the hot seat and like who does have eyes on them, I think Jam Jam was a safe bet, that it's not like he didn't have beef with anyone now that Michael's out of the castle. Like that would really put a target on anybody else's back. He was kind of safe. And I think the three that they picked, it was Kristen, Jam Jam, and Natalie. I think all of them are very neutral at this point and like could go either way. You know, I think people think that they're faithfuls, but like, you know, people think that Rob is also a faithful. Like there's no real trust in this castle. So thought it was a really fair three that they picked. I am sad that Jam Jam left, but someone's got to go. And you know what? Lisa did a flawless murder in plain sight, so I'll let her have it. What I will say is they should not have let Jam Jam speak after he was murdered. The way that they murdered him, traumatic. Pulling him out of that chair and dragging him out of the room, that was traumatizing to watch. I cannot imagine what it felt like being at that table at that banquet, watching him get dragged out as he's screaming, "It's Lisa, it's Lisa, it's Lisa," for the entire wrong reason, by the way. He's like, she kissed me on the cheek and that's why she murdered me. No. You fixed her brooch and that's why she murdered you. So he's over here hooting and hollering about how he got murdered, and it's completely wrong, though it was the right person, which is crazy that like he was able to pin it to Lisa when it was for the wrong reason, but he still was able to hold on to that. But it did just rub me the wrong way that like when they told them that they did a murder in plain sight and like somebody there was going to die, Jam Jam didn't speak up. He like whispered it to whoever was next to him, but like he should have been more vocal about it is my only thing that I'll say there. And the behavior from Natalie for that potion was fucking insane. Like the way that she was begging for that potion was so insane, and she just put a giant target on her back. And I know she apologized that it was a lapse of judgment in her character or whatever. Like I can understand that, and I get that. They are fucking with their heads so bad. But she just put a giant target on her back that like was not there before, honestly. Like she was somebody who I think was very fair game. And now, sorry, girl, I do think your days are numbered in this damn castle. I thought Rob was so smart with doing this dagger alliance after the challenge. He wins the dagger, which can we just talk about the way that he was able to exactly pinpoint who was lying so quick? He is something in his brain. He is functioning on a different level than all of us. Like the way that he was able to completely clock who had the dagger just based on those simple questions, and he was correct and then got the dagger. Insane. But also the way that he like made that alliance with all of them. They now all trust him. And like at some point, those, I think it was 5, including Rob, that's going to be able to sway the table. So if all of them are still in the game, by the time it comes down to it, they'll all probably listen to Rob. And like, they trust him. Everybody thinks he's a faithful. He is playing a great game this season. And I'm really impressed at like the way that he is navigating this. It is really, really impressive. Now, this round table, this was crazy. It was pretty clear that Lisa was the name on everybody's lips and everybody was going for based on the whole Jam Jam situation. And like, you know, it just people were kind of picking up on her vibes, and Colton was on her for a minute and like spreading that around. And then when Jam Jam said it, it kind of just like was the nail in the coffin. What I did not see coming though was the way that Rob was so vocal about it being Lisa. I understand why he voted for her, because like if he voted for, what was it, Colton, or who was the other? I don't know why it slipped my mind, but if he voted for anybody other than Lisa, I understand why it would have been sus. But the fact that he like opened his mouth and said something at the round table about it just like was a little unnecessary, if you ask me. Like, I was like, you didn't need to like put the dagger. I mean, I know you won the dagger, but you don't need to stab it in her back. Like, you could have just voted for her and not said anything at the round table and called it a day. I was shocked that he spoke up and was like, here's why Lisa's a traitor, and like fully spun it on her. And like, yes, he is buying everybody's trust, but he already has everybody's trust. I do think he is somebody that like nobody suspects as a traitor. So that was very bold of him to do. But I mean, Lisa gets out. Candace voting for Rob, that was nuts. At first, I thought it was really stupid, and I was like, why are you doing this? You're throwing away a vote, and it's going to put a target on your back. Like, it's just going to be weird the way that you were like now throwing a vote away. But Dorinda voting for Maura honestly saved it. And once Dorinda voted for her, I was like, all right, if anybody questions Candace on why she did that, they can now be like, well, Candace and Dorinda had a housewife alliance and they didn't want to vote for Lisa because it goes against that. You know, I think they're able to kind of save that. But if Dorinda did not vote for a random throwaway vote and went for Maura, which the spelling of Maura, by the way, Morea, I was fucking crying. But if Dorinda didn't do that, Candace would have a giant target on her back. I think there might be a little target on her back right now, but I think the fact that Dorinda also threw away a vote will save her. But I was like, whoa, that was bold. And Candace versus Rob is about to be fucking nuts. Like, the fact that they're about to play this game not in unison and completely try to navigate this as traitors separately, it's about to get fucking crazy in this castle. I cannot wait. And I do think they're going to start moving on to Colton and getting him out of the castle next. I think he's coming. I know I am just manifesting it because I'm fucking tired of looking at his face on my screen. But even like Johnny picking up on it and Candace doubling down on it, I think they're going to start spreading that propaganda. And I think Candace or Natalie, I think their days are numbered. I think they're the ones that people really have a big hunch for. And I feel like they're going to be some of the next ones out. But like I say every week, I'm loving this season of The Traitors. I think it is so much fun. The twists and the turns, this whole dagger thing, everything about this season has been really, really strong so far. And I am loving it. And we only have 4 weeks left. Like, there's not that many episodes left before we get the reunion. So either they're going to pull some fucking tomfoolery and they're going to kick a bunch of faithfuls off in one night, or the faithfuls are going to figure out that it's Rob and Candace, kill the traitors, and the faithfuls are going to win early in the season with a lot of them left. Like, there's no way we only have 4 weeks left with all of these people in the castle. And like, there's not something up their sleeve, which, I mean, Alan has many of sleeves and all of them are fabulous. So I'm sure there are some tricks up those sleeves. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to be interesting. And I cannot wait to see how this turns out. With all of that being said, we have made it to the final segment of this week's episode, my yes and my mess of the week. We end every single episode of Too Pop to Handle with a yes and a mess, a yes being something I am loving and a mess being something I am not loving. And I need to excuse myself because I am going to pull out my phone for this, because I'm not going to lie, I did not have a mess for this week until about an hour before I started recording. And I was like, I don't have a mess or a yes or a mess. Like, how am I supposed to do this? Like, this has never happened. I've had a week where I've had no mess and I've just been like, you know what? That's fine. I can just be positive and call it a day. But I had no yes and no mess because it is so Grammy centric this week that I was like, what do I do? And then somebody must have heard me in the universe, because 2 things came through as I was getting ready to record. And I was like, well, there's my yes, there's my mess. So kicking things off on a high note, as we always do, my yes for the week is the fact that Dan Levy and Rachel Sennett have created a new comedy series together called Big Mistakes. The series follows 2 incapable siblings who are blackmailed into the world of organized crime that will be released in 2026 on Netflix. And now, this just has so many buzzwords for me. Dan Levy, I'm in. Rachel Sennett, I'm in. The 2 of them, there are siblings involved and there's some organized crime. I am in. I literally, all I know is Dan Levy's Instagram story. I have not read the article. I have not read anything else. Dan Levy shared the tweet to his story. I said, Dan Levy, Rachel Sennett, organized crime, count me in. I am in. No idea when it comes out. No idea what it's about other than what I just read you. But that is my yes. It is as simple as that, because like I said earlier, Schitt's Creek is my favorite show. You put Dan Levy in anything, I am sold. You put Rachel Sennett in anything, I am sold. The 2 of them together working on anything, count me the fuck in. I am so excited for this show, and I'm sure it will just be too pop to handle, as many of things are that include Dan Levy and Rachel Sennett. And my mess for the week, this is literally breaking news. This was happening. I was literally sitting down, getting ready to like get my lights, and this was posted on Instagram. And it is the fact that after 7 years, the Kelly Clarkson show is coming to an end. She posted on her Instagram, I have been extremely fortunate to work with such an outstanding group of people at TKCS, both in Los Angeles and New York. There have been so many amazing moments and shows over these 7 seasons. I am forever grateful and honored to have worked alongside the greatest band and crew you could hope for, all the talent and inspiring people who have shared their time and lives with us, all the fans who have supported our show, and to NBC for always being such a supportive and incredible partner. Because of all that, this was not an easy decision, but this season will be my last hosting the Kelly Clarkson Show. Stepping away from the daily schedule will allow me to prioritize my kids, which feels necessary and right for the next chapter of our lives. This isn't goodbye. I'll still be making music, playing shows here and there, and you may catch me on The Voice from time to time. You never know where I might end up next. But for now, I want to thank you all so much for allowing our show to be a part of your lives and believing in us and hanging with us for 7 incredible years. And now, of course, this is for the better good. I mean, Kelly Clarkson and her kids have gone through a lot in the last year with the father of their kids getting sick and then passing away. This is obviously what is very needed for Kelly to just kind of like navigate this life, that is now happening. And I mean, it's been 7 years. I think there's something really admirable about knowing when to step away from something, but it doesn't make it suck any less. Like, I love the Kelly Clarkson Show. And if you've been listening since the beginning, I used to go to Kelly Clarkson tapings all the time. Like, there was a moment where I was going to like a Kelly Clarkson show like once every 2 to 3 months because it's just fun. It's a good vibe. And I haven't been in like 2 or 3 years. And as soon as I read that statement, I went to One Iota and requested tickets to go to a new taping because I haven't been in so long. And like, if this is for like the OG Too Pop to Handle listeners, when Thomas and I went to Vegas in 2023, literally 2 months after the start of the podcast. So this is like true OG listeners. We went to Vegas for New Year's Eve because we won free tickets and flights from the Kelly Clarkson Show to go see Kelly in Vegas on New Year's Eve. And like, that was our first trip together as a couple. We talk about that trip all the time. It was truly such a fun weekend. I mean, New Year's Eve in Vegas with Kelly Clarkson, and we got to go on half of it on Kelly's dime. Like, it was so much fun. And like, I've gone to the tapings a lot of times. I've been to the Kelly Clarkson Show, and it is seriously such a great time. Like, it's so much fun. If you're in New York, you're going to be in New York, request tickets now and go see the show before it ends, because like, Kelly is such a treat. This show is such a treat, but there is something very admirable about knowing when to step away. And though it hurts and it sucks, I understand why she has to do it. And I think she is ending it, at the right time. She knows when it is time. She knows when to end a good thing. And there is such thing as like too much of a good thing. So I think she's like feeling that, and I get why she has to end it, especially just considering what the kids have gone through with Brandon passing away. And like, she had to cancel her Vegas shows to fly back to be with him while he was passing away. And like, just, she's had a lot of change, a lot of things going on in the last year or so. So though it sucks and, I hate to see the show end, I understand. And, I'm sending all of my love to Kelly and the entire crew of the Kelly Clarkson Show, because they really are fabulous. Every time I go, everything they post on social, the show itself, it is just such a good time and like a feel good type of moment that the world needed. And though we still need those good vibes right now, I understand bowing out because she's carried us on her back for 7 seasons. And with that, we have made it to the end of this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you loved what you were hearing and you were listening to us as a podcast, please go ahead and leave me a 5-star rating. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe, drop a comment, hit thumbs up, all the buttons except unsubscribe. You guys know the drill. If you're looking for more pop culture news in between podcast episodes, make sure you subscribe to my Substack, toopoptohandle.substack.com. I'll have it linked down below. I send out a weekly newsletter every single weekend with extra moments of the week that were too pop to handle in between podcast episodes. And I've just been writing a lot more on there. I shared some Grammy news today. I did like a fun little like 10 albums that I would listen to for the rest of my life or something post. Having a lot of fun and feeling inspired to write more on Substack. So now is a great time to subscribe to the newsletter. Like I said, I will have it linked down below. And if all of that is not enough, you can always follow me on social media at Andrew Nucatola or at Too Pop to Handle across all platforms. I am posting on the internet nonstop, always saying something, always yapping, always doing this, always doing that, writing, yapping, talking, whatever it may be. You can find me doing it on the internet in so many different places. There is truly an endless supply of Andrew Nucatola if that is what you are into. And with that, I will catch you guys next week. Bye.